In this lecture, we're going to see how you can work with the GridView component in QML. This is a component that allows you to lay out your items coming from a model in a grid-like structure. We're going to go to Qt Creator and play with this. Here we are in Qt Creator. We're going to create our project. It's a Qt Quick application. We call it GridView demo. Store it in the usual location. Choose our Qt version. Choose your kit and finish. You want to change the title to say GridView demo. And if we go to the documentation and look for GridView, they're going to tell you it displays data from models created from built-in QML types like ListView and ListModel. It is backed by a model, and the delegate defines how data should be displayed. And your data is displayed in a grid like this. Okay, this is a grid. So we're going to go back to our code here, put in a predefined model to save some time on typing. It is a list model, nothing new here. It contains list elements, and we have 2 rows in each list element, a number with this role and a color with M color as your role. We can minimize this actually to have things a little more readable and put in our grid view. The ID is going to be mGridView. It's going to fill the parent. Its model is going to be model ID, and it's going to have a delegate just like we have for the list view. We have a nice delegate also prepared. Control A, Control I to align. It is nothing special also, but we are using the roles in our model to put data in our delegate here. You can see the color is coming from the list element here. This is our role for the color, and we are displaying the number that is coming from the model as well. You can see this is the number role that we are using here. The rest you have really all seen before. We are centering the text. We are setting the font here. Let's run the application and see what we get. This is our grid view. You see that it tries to fill the available width with these rectangles here. But if you reduce the width, you see that it flows to the next lines until we have the data filling the available width. Okay, this is the behavior you have with the grid view. There are a few settings you can apply to your grid view here. For example, you can control the layout direction. Right now it is going from left to right, but we can make it go from right to left. Okay, when we do that, we are going to start counting from 1, 2, 3 from the right here and going to the left. Let's do that. We can come in our code here and say layout direction and say Qt right to left. Just like this. Let's run. 1, 2, 3 from right to left. And this is not out of the blue. You can come back to the documentation, find grid view, and you're going to see a bunch of properties that you have. And one of them is layout direction, and they show you things you can pass in here. If you look here, we also have another property that is called flow, and you can use this to hold the flow of the grid. Okay, right now it is flowing from left to right by default, but we can also make it flow from top to bottom. We can come back to the code, put in a flow property, and say grid view flow top to bottom. Let's run. You see that it is saying 1, 2, 3 from top to bottom. Without the flow property setting, it was going from left to right and wrapping to the next lines. Now it is going from top to bottom and wrapping to the columns as we go from right to left. I hope this makes sense. We can take this out to show you what we had before, because sometimes it is easy to forget. and you can see that 1, 2, 3 from left to right. You can play with these properties and see what you get. And if you happen to need these features, they are available to you, ready to be used. And this is really all I had to share about the GridView component. It is very easy to use, and it allows you to lay out the data that is coming from your model in a grid-like structure. And you have a bunch of properties that you can play with to achieve the design that you want. In the next lecture, we're going to visit the XML list model component and see how you can feed it the data from an XML file. I'll see you there.